The day began like any other. It was August 15th, 2025. The sun was bright, the sky was a brilliant, endless blue. Far out in the North Atlantic, the USS George H.W. Bush moved with purpose. It was a floating city of American power. Sailors went about their duties, pilots prepared for routine flight operations. The massive carrier cut through the waves. It was a symbol of strength, a projection of global reach. No one expected what was about to happen. The sea seemed calm, but underneath something was stirring, something was watching. Then, the impossible occurred. 3 dark shapes broke the surface. They emerged from the depths with a chilling silence. They were not whales, they were not friendly vessels. These were submarines. Their sleek, black hulls glistened in the sunlight. They were unmistakably Russian. One surfaced directly ahead of the carrier's path. Another appeared off the starboard side. The third took a position to the stern. The massive aircraft carrier, once the master of its domain, was suddenly bracketed. It was encircled. It was trapped. On the bridge of the USS George H.W. Bush, the atmosphere shifted instantly. The calm routine shattered into a million pieces. Alarms blared across the ship. General quarters was sounded. Men and women scrambled to their battle stations. Every sailor knew their role. Every person understood the gravity of the situation. They were trained for this. But training is one thing. The reality of 3 hostile submarines appearing out of nowhere is another. The air crackled with tension. The captain stared at the Russian vessels through his binoculars. His face was a mask of grim determination. This was not a drill. The world held its breath. The news broke quickly. A U.S. Navy aircraft carrier was in a standoff. It was surrounded by advanced Russian submarines. The scene was surreal. It was a picture torn from the pages of a Cold War novel. But this was real. This was happening now. The massive carrier, a fortress at sea, looked strangely vulnerable. The 3 silent hunters that encircled it were a stark reminder. They were a message. The deep dark ocean holds many secrets. And today, 3 of its most dangerous secrets had decided to come to the surface. To understand this crisis, you must understand the players. An American aircraft carrier is more than just a ship. It is a sovereign territory. It is a mobile airbase. The USS George H.W. Bush carries over 70 aircraft. It has fighter jets, surveillance planes, and helicopters. It is protected by an entire fleet of smaller warships. Destroyers and cruisers form a protective screen around it. They are its eyes and its shields. The carrier's job is to project power. It can launch airstrikes anywhere in the world. It is the centerpiece of American naval might. Submarines, on the other hand, are masters of stealth. They are the silent hunters of the deep. A modern Russian submarine like the Akula class is a technological marvel. It is designed to be invisible. Special coatings on its hull absorb sonar signals. Its engines are engineered for near-silent operation. Its primary mission is to hunt and destroy enemy ships. Specifically, they are designed to hunt aircraft carriers. They carry a formidable arsenal. Torpedoes and cruise missiles are their weapons of choice. A submarine's greatest strength is the element of surprise. It can stay hidden for weeks, even months. The dynamic between these 2 titans is a classic one. It is the spear versus the shield. The carrier group is a massive, powerful, and visible force. It announces its presence. Its power comes from its ability to dominate the air and the surface of the sea. It dares you to challenge it. The submarine is its natural predator. It is a quiet, hidden, and patient threat. Its power comes from its ability to remain unseen. It waits for the perfect moment to strike. It exploits any weakness. It turns the carrier's size into a vulnerability. This is why the current situation is so alarming. The submarine's advantage is its secrecy. By surfacing, the Russian submarines have given up that advantage. They did it deliberately. This was not an attack. It was a statement. They were showing the United States that they could get close. They could get past the carrier's formidable defenses. They could have, if they had chosen, launched a devastating attack without warning. The message was clear. We were here all along. We were right beside you. You never even knew. How did this happen? How did 3 submarines get so close? The U.S. Navy has the most advanced anti-submarine warfare capabilities in the world. A carrier strike group is a web of sensors. The destroyers and cruisers that escort the carrier are equipped with powerful sonar systems. They drag long arrays of listening devices behind them. These are called towed arrays. They listen for the faintest sounds of a submarine's machinery. They are the first line of defense. The goal is to detect a potential threat hundreds of miles away. The carrier group also has its own air assets. MH-60 Romeo Seahawk helicopters are dedicated sub-hunters. They fly in patterns around the fleet. They dip special sonar buoys into the water. These buoys listen for underwater sounds and transmit the data back to the helicopter. The P-8 Poseidon, a maritime patrol aircraft, also plays a crucial role. It can cover vast areas of ocean. It drops patterns of sonar buoys to create a wide detection grid. It is a persistent eye in the sky. All this data is fed back to the carrier. Specialists analyze every sound, every echo. Despite this layered defense, the Russian submarines slipped through. They likely used a technique known as shadowing. This involves hiding in the carrier's own acoustic shadow. The massive aircraft carrier makes a lot of noise. Its propellers and machinery create a blind spot behind it. A skilled submarine commander can tuck his vessel into this noisy pocket. They might also use natural features of the ocean. Underwater canyons or layers of water with different temperatures can bend and distort sonar signals. They can mask a submarine's presence effectively. The final moment of detection was likely a shock. It probably wasn't a faint electronic beep. It might have been a visual sighting. A lookout on the deck of a destroyer scanning the horizon, or a helicopter pilot on a low-level patrol. Suddenly they see it, a periscope cutting through the water, then another and another. At that close range, the electronic systems would confirm it instantly. Active sonar would ping the targets, revealing their exact positions. But by then, it was too late. The hunters had already closed the distance. The surprise was complete. Why would Russia do this? Why risk such a direct and provocative confrontation? The motives are likely complex. This is not a random act. It is a carefully calculated message. First, it is a demonstration of capability. Moscow is sending a clear signal to Washington and its allies. It is saying that its naval power is resurgent. It is showing that its submarine technology is advanced. It is proving that it can challenge American naval dominance, even in the deep waters of the North Atlantic. This is a powerful statement of military prowess. Second, this is likely a response to recent events. Perhaps it is a reaction to NATO naval exercises in the Black Sea, or it could be a response to the positioning of U.S. missile defense systems in Europe. In the world of international relations, actions are often met with reactions. This could be Russia pushing back. It is a way of saying, you are getting too close to our borders. We can get close to yours too. It is a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess. The ocean is the chessboard. The warships are the pieces. Third, there is a strong element of testing involved. Russia wants to see how the U.S. will react. It wants to test the readiness of the U.S. Navy. It wants to gauge the response time of the carrier strike group. How quickly do they detect the threat? How do they maneuver? What is their protocol? Every piece of information gathered is valuable. It will be analyzed by Russian military planners for years. It helps them understand American tactics and procedures. It reveals potential weaknesses in the U.S. defensive screen. Finally, this is for a domestic audience too. The image of 3 Russian submarines surrounding a mighty American carrier is powerful propaganda. It projects an image of strength and defiance. It tells the Russian people that their country is a great power. It shows that Russia can stand up to the United States on the world stage. It boosts national pride. It reinforces the narrative of a strong leader protecting the nation's interests. The reasons are many, but they all point to one thing. This was a deliberate and carefully planned operation. The reaction from the Pentagon was swift, but it was also measured. A spokesperson appeared before the press. The statement was brief and professional. It confirmed a safe and professional interaction with Russian naval units. It emphasized that U.S. forces continue to operate in international waters. It stated that the USS George H.W. Bush was never under any direct threat. The language was carefully chosen. It was designed to de-escalate the situation. It aimed to avoid public panic, but behind the calm words there was deep concern. In Moscow, the response was different. The Russian Ministry of Defense released its own statement. It was defiant. It claimed its submarines were conducting planned training exercises. It asserted their right to operate in international waters. The statement carried a tone of pride. It praised the skill of the submarine crews. It subtly mocked the inability of the U.S. Navy to detect them sooner. There was no apology. There was no admission of provocation. The message was clear. We did nothing wrong, and we are proud of what we did. Behind the scenes, the diplomatic channels were buzzing. The U.S. Secretary of State made a direct call to the Russian foreign minister. The conversation was reportedly tense. The American side lodged a formal protest. They called the Russian actions unprofessional and dangerous. They warned that such maneuvers could lead to miscalculation. They could lead to an accident that could escalate into a much larger conflict. The security of American service members was paramount. This kind of behavior was unacceptable. The Russian response in private was likely similar to their public one. They would have denied any aggressive intent. They would have stressed their right to train their forces. They might have pointed to American military activities near their own territory. They would frame the incident as a routine matter. They would place the blame for the tension on NATO's expansion. This is the diplomatic dance. Both sides state their positions. Both sides understand the unspoken messages, but the core disagreement remains, and the tension at sea continues. This incident changes things. It forces a major recalibration of naval strategy. For years, the U.S. Navy has focused on different threats. It has been concerned with counterterrorism. It has focused on threats from smaller regional powers. The deep, open ocean contest against a peer competitor like Russia seemed like a thing of the past. It felt like a relic of the Cold War. This event proves that assumption was wrong. The threat is not gone. It has just been quiet. It is now back, and it is more advanced than ever. The U.S. Navy will now have to reinvest heavily in anti-submarine warfare. This means new technology. It means better sonar systems. It means developing new ways to detect quiet submarines. It might mean using unmanned underwater drones to patrol vast areas of the ocean. It will also mean more training. Sailors and pilots will spend more time hunting for practice submarines. The focus will shift back to high-end naval combat. The skills needed to fight a major naval war must be sharpened. This incident serves as a powerful wake-up call. This will also affect America's allies. NATO will take this very seriously. The North Atlantic is a critical sea lane. It connects North America and Europe. The security of these waters is vital for the alliance. The presence of advanced Russian submarines in this area is a threat to all NATO members. We can expect to see more joint anti-submarine exercises. We will likely see European navies increasing their own ASW capabilities. The alliance will have to work together. They must present a united front to counter this resurgent Russian naval presence. The dynamic at sea has fundamentally shifted. The era of unchallenged American dominance on the high seas may be ending. Other powers like Russia and China are building powerful navies. They are developing the technology to challenge the United States. The oceans are becoming a more contested space. This incident is a symptom of that larger trend. It is a sign that a new era of great power competition has begun. This new competition will be fought not just on land or in the air, it will be fought in the deep, dark waters of the world's oceans. As the sun sets over the North Atlantic, the standoff continues. The USS George H.W. Bush remains on high alert. Its escort ships patrol nervously. The 3 Russian submarines remain on the surface. They are silent sentinels in the fading light. The immediate crisis may have passed, but the larger questions remain. They hang in the air like the salty sea spray. What happens next? This is the question on everyone's mind. From the sailors on the deck to the leaders in Washington and Moscow. Will the Russian submarines simply submerge and disappear? Will they sail away as quietly as they appeared? Or will they continue to shadow the American carrier? Will they escalate the situation further? Every moment that passes is filled with uncertainty. A single mistake could have devastating consequences. A misunderstanding, a technical glitch, or an overly aggressive move could light a spark that could ignite a fire that would be difficult to contain. The world watches and waits for the next move in this dangerous chess match. What will be the long-term consequences of this day? Will this lead to new arms control talks? Will it force both sides to establish new rules of the road for naval encounters? Or will it trigger a new and dangerous arms race at sea? Will we see more of these confrontations? Will the North Atlantic become a stage for constant cat-and-mouse games between submarines and surface fleets? This single event could set the tone for US-Russia relations for the next decade. It could mark the beginning of a new and colder Cold War. The ultimate question is one of intent. Was this just a message, or was it a rehearsal? Was it a show of force, or was it practice for a future conflict? The sailors aboard the USS George H.W. Bush are staring at the dark hulls of the Russian submarines. They are asking themselves these same questions. They are on the front line of this new reality. Tonight, the vast ocean seems smaller. It seems more crowded, and it seems much, much more dangerous. The story is not over. It is just beginning.